client privilege and confidentiality, which has already been mentioned. So if you're talking about, it's all about information, gathering, storage, potential dissemination and sharing of confidential information with the assistance of AI. A couple of final questions that you might want to sleep over. Can you imagine a world in which the principle of a legal practice delegates to an AI the task of ensuring and providing legal advice? Would that be advice be firm? Will lawyers be obliged to upgrade to software that has a better track record of evaluating cases than their current technological tools, simply because it's there? Is it problematic to use a legal AI and fail to advise a client? What do you tell your client? What do you say to your client? Oh, the reasonable computer is doing this. The reasonable AI is doing this. I'm just giving you the advice. Could AI become the principle of a legal practice? The global legal industry, these are my last words, continue to face unprecedented technological change, and it's here and it will continue undoubtedly. Law firms need to ethically manage their information assets, and this involves executive awareness, business governance in the law firm, leadership and management, justification and fitness for purpose. And dare I say it, that it boils down to, in my view, very much about the ethical culture of a law firm. Okay? And if the law firm doesn't have an ethical culture, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about AI or whether you're talking about something else. If you don't have that culture, that leadership by example, then it will fail. So I've left you with more questions than I've answered. So.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting element. Well, one of the things you mentioned about the investments needed for law firms to have all these tools, and how often do we have to change it? Because I do understand that the conclusion among the experts is that these tools save money, because obviously the analysis of the data is done way faster with less amount of lawyers, which are probably more expensive than the software, than a team. But it's like we all have cell phones, and they come up with a new one every 6 months, and maybe the new version or the new tool will have things that the tool we're using does not have, and that maybe will improve the work we're doing. Is that an evaluation we'll have to do every 6 months, and an investment? Because the investment in this type of tool is not something cheap. I mean, these things cost money, like initial investment. Maybe you'll see the return, of course, but the initial investment is important. Can all law firms afford them, or just a big law firm? So what do you think about that, the changing pace of our technologies? I'm sure, in my opinion, we need to adapt and measure it and use common sense. And
one could be very cynical, and I'm going to be cynical now, and say that perhaps those sentencing algorithms that were mentioned earlier in China is going to help the Chinese legal system to get through many sentencing tasks that it has on hand. Whether you're going to leave it to a computer to do it, the ethics of that, I'll leave.
Yes, what the other panelists think.
It will definitely require a lot of investment, and definitely not all the law firms will have the same pace by catching up with these new technologies. Hopefully, just as every other technological tool we've seen, I hope there's also the appearance of new open technologies which are basically free for most of the lawyers. And once again, it depends in the end on us in deciding, okay, will we let those tools decide what is in the end the legal counsel, or will we just use them as, in my perspective, subjective perspective, they should be used to help us save some time by data analysis, but in the end giving the whole part of liability and the counseling to us as a human, as lawyers.
Yeah, can I add something? I think law firms or in-house legal departments do not have to keep up with all the changes that are happening in the AI industry, because I think they have to consider first what the purpose of their tools are being used. So in consideration of the purpose, they have to choose the right tool that they are going to adopt in their corporations or law firms. So by doing